accusations, this nonsense, this smear by association by Dana, is all a smokescreen and a tactic to take your attention away from the fact that she doesn't live in the district, can't vote for herself, and her performance in 2008. I mean, no one with a straight face can say that she's a viable candidate in this town. It's just not there, and I'm afraid to say that. You know, all these other things are nonsense. I would like you to tell me the best things that you like about the Patriot Act. Here's what I don't like about it. There were some good things in the Patriot Act. There were some updates to technological advancements that needed to be done. There were some other things. But some of the things I don't like are the fact that FBI agents can write their own search warrants. Now, I have nothing against the FBI. That's not the issue. It's just that nobody should have that kind of power. That's a complete invasion of the Fourth Amendment, and they shouldn't be able to do it. We, this country, had a revolution based on writs of assistance. This shouldn't be. And that's one of the reasons why I don't like that. But again, all these other things they're just smears by association. It's just all nonsense. It's all about viability.
I totally disagree. Also, about not living in the district, I live a block outside, but I have been involved in civic, business, industry, charitable, and community organizations in this town for over 30 years in the district. I've run 2 businesses in the district, and John's resume has not a single organization of any kind he's ever been involved with in the district.
True.
Which I think
I'm the co-founder of the San Francisco Republican.
You founded it.
I'm the Republican Liberty Caucus. It's a national organization. I founded it. I was the chair. I was the chair of the Campaign for Liberty in San Francisco. These are things that I've done. I've lived here for 20 years. I live in the district, and as I said to you before, it doesn't matter if you live 1 foot, 1 block, or 1 light. You're out of the district. If you're out of the district, you're out of it. And one other thing I want to mention about that, it's not so interesting running against Jackie Speer. And the fundraisers, those commercial fundraisers who are making all this money, those guys in Virginia and Ohio, they're not as interested in a race against Jackie Speer as they are against Nancy Pelosi. So, again, my whole life my whole adult life practically the last 20 years has been here. I live here, I work here, I can vote here. You cannot say the same thing.
And I just have one question. What other organization in the city are you involved with except the one you had to found a few years ago to support Ron Paul?
I never founded the Campaign for Liberty. That was here. I founded the Republican Liberty Caucus chapter, and I was an alternate on the Republican Central Committee.
For a very short period of time, till you were thrown out because of your fringe views with the Ron Paul people.
Well,
you don't mention
see, now
that.
This is the sort of thing.
This is the
sort of thing. Well, it makes it fun for radio, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
But this is nonsense. It's utter and complete nonsense.
Can I make a question?
Let me make one point. Again, I want to repeat. If I had these views, would every single officer in the Republican Central Committee, the Central Committee, 12 of them 13 have endorsed me. That's more than twice what Dana has. The San Francisco Young Republicans know us both. This is all, again, a smokescreen to take you away from the performance you had in 2008.
I will say.
By the way, Harmeet Dillon got almost 17% of the vote. Another Republican running against a tough liberal in this town. I mean, I think
in a different kind of district, John.
It's the same town. It's the same town.
Is there a danger in touting mainstream Republican Party credentials for you guys, given the current atmosphere in which the Republican Party is looked upon with as much disdain, if not more, than the Democrat Party?
Well, in this town, you mean?
I mean, in the country. It's the Republican Party is looked upon by the people. I've spoken literally with tens of thousands of people in the last 2 years as a party of sellouts, as a party that brought us things like Arnold and George W. Bush, as a party that buried principle with Ronald Reagan, where the functionaries and the day-to-day people who run the party apparatus are more interested in maintaining their positions than changing the country for the better.
Well, I would say one thing that's very important, and that is we are looking at a Democratic Congress right now that is taking over every aspect of our lives. Seriously. It's the next thing up is amnesty, then the next thing up is cap and trade, then the next thing up is the fairness doctrine. And quite frankly, the Republicans in Congress have been very clear that they're fighting all those things. And I think it's important that the person running against Nancy Pelosi in this very high-profile race is not a wishy-washy Republican. Because, and quite frankly, in this primary, I think it's important that Republicans know what our positions are, and I'm very clear that I will stick with Republican positions, especially on these very important issues of how we treat terrorists, on foreign policy, and I ask you to look into John's thing. But
Please
he talks
do.
about,
Be my
I have
guest.
a question.
Feel
Why
free.
do you say that, I think it's interesting that you bring up things like this district thing, when again I live a block outside. Constitutionally, you seem to bring up the Constitution every 5 minutes. I could live in San Diego. Now, I would think that would be ridiculous, but again, my ties to the district are far more extensive than yours. But my point is that you actually are bringing up these things about tactics in our fundraising and things like that and living in the district, when in fact, you won't talk about the issues. So why don't you
I'm perfectly happy to talk about the issues.
Why don't you talk about the Republican Liberty Caucus resolution on Afghanistan?
That's not my resolution. I didn't authorize
you were
that.
part of. You were very much a part of the Alameda.
What does it say, John?
I have no idea what it says because she's handing it to me now. I didn't write that thing. This is exactly what we're doing. It's a smear by association. Let me make a point, by the way. The one thing that came out of that whole diatribe there was wishy-washy. You know, I was an alternate on the Republican Central Committee. We had a vote a year ago, April of 2009, on some endorsing propositions. One of them was a tax increase. Dana was one of the two people who was supposed to speak in opposition to the tax increase. After she heard two people speak in favor of it, she changed her mind on the spot. There were 30 people in the room that night. I had to actually raise my hand and say, I'm afraid that we didn't get two people to speak in opposition to this. I spoke clearly and concisely about it, and we won the day. That happened, and 30 people were in the room. So
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, that's good because a lot of other people do. But I agree. The original question was about what about being a Republican? I'm proud to be a Republican. This is the party of liberty. If you look at the Democratic Party platform, the word liberty doesn't come up until page 26 of 58. In the Republican Party platform, it comes up in the preamble of the first paragraph. Been a Republican for a long time. This is the party of liberty, and I think that it allows us to reach out across the spectrum. I will say that one of the very big reasons for getting involved was I was frustrated with my own party for their failure to reduce the size of government when they had the opportunity from 2000 to 2006. My voice was loud, it was clear, and that's what got me involved in politics just a few years ago.
All righty.
We have a situation now that's very clear. We have a Democratic Congress, and we need a Republican Congress. We need a Republican Congress by 2010, or we've lost the country.
Well, some Republicans. I mean, I was part of that campaign in Utah that booted Mr. Bennett and is going to boot Mr. Matheson out of the Democrat Party. But I mean, we're talking about a party that up until just a few months ago, John Boehner was still talking about getting a focus group together to understand what the Tea Parties were about. I mean, come on. You know?
Yeah, no, Mark. I mean, we need the right Republicans. We don't the big government Republicans. We don't need. We need to look. This is a Big Ten party. I'm part of the Big Ten party. I'm in the Liberty wing of that had Ronald Reagan, Barry Goldwater, Milton Friedman, Robert Taft. That's the part of the party that I'm in. But the big government guys, I suppose they should stay there, but they cannot have a central role. We have got to start reducing the size of the government. In fact, we should have done it. Now we must do it because we cannot afford these programs. We can't afford all the things that the federal government does.
We've got people lining up on the phones. I've got one more left field question after the break, and then we'll take phone calls. I'm talking with John Dennis and Dana Walsh, both running for...
You're listening to Barbara Simpson on Hot Talk 560 KSFO.
Hot Talk 560 KSFO. Mark Williams in for Barbara Simpson. We're talking with Dana Walsh and John Dennis, both vying for Nancy Pelosi's seat. Now, this is going to sound like an off-the-wall question, but given the geography here, I think it fits because Republicans and conservatives actually get a bad rap from gays. Does the gay community have anything to fear by voting for a Republican, either one of you?
Absolutely not. I don't think.
Because they think you hate them.
Pardon?
They think you hate them because you're a Republican.
But I think that's kind of a myth throughout the city. Yeah. Everybody, I don't know how to tell you this, but in the city, the hated people are Republicans. No, seriously, that isn't even to debate. I'll tell you what. Throughout the campaign, people will come up to me and literally whisper to me, I'm a Republican. And I used to very rudely say, "You're a Republican," and then they'd get all upset. But no, this town, the people who are hated in this town are Republicans. Make no mistake. And I don't think anyone who gets to know Republicans, real Republicans in the city, have that feeling at all. It's the ones who refuse to get to know Republicans.
Yeah, one of the delightful things that I've learned on the campaign trail is that Harvey Milk supported Barry Goldwater in 1964.
I did not know that.
I love knowing that. Yeah, no, it's wonderful. But I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense in the pre-Stonewall era. The gay community didn't have very good time with governments in general, so Barry's libertarian streak was really appealing to him. And I think that there's an argument to be made that the government hasn't been all too helpful to the gay community. And by the way, and that's one of the reasons why I think I got endorsed by the president of the Log Cabin Republicans here in San Francisco.
Yeah, the reason why I ask is because over in Utah, again, where I've been working to defeat Mr. Bennett and Matheson, the congressman or the future congressman I've been working with, Morgan Philpott, also got log cabin support and a lot of gay support, because when he met with them, he just read them the conservative line. He's like, look, I'm not going to Washington to attack you. I'm going to Washington because this country is in trouble and this country protects you.
Absolutely.
And true concern, and that's important.